You're listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast, where we discuss everything iRacing in a casual setting. Enjoy. Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I'm your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer, where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, David Hall.
Hello.
Welcome, Greg Hectus.
What's up, everybody?
Hey. And Justin Pearson.
What's up, my friends?
Well, we're getting ready to near the end of the season championships in the iRacing esports, and we'll talk all about it. We'll introduce you to probably the best single monitor for sim racing, and of course, talk about our results. Come on in and take a load off and enjoy the lounge.
Also, don't forget that you can follow us along with us on your PC or mobile device in real time as you listen to the show, and you see for yourself all the great topics and products that we discuss by visiting the iRacersLounge.com. There's no V in there, and selecting the show notes. We hope to see you there. All right, you were mentioning eNASCAR just in the intro, and that is our first topic. We've got the eNASCAR Twitter resurfacing. I guess that means they haven't been around for a while, but they're posting whether you're a sim racer or a seasoned sim racer just starting out, you're gonna have a chance to learn from the pros as you can join Keegan Leahy and Garrett Maines in an AMA on the NASCAR Discord at 4 Eastern time. And was that today?
It was this week. I mean, they started about a week or so ago on the Twitter again, and it had been a long time, like I want to say a year. I'm trying to look back and see, but they've been very active in the last week or so, talking Coke racing, but also talking other eNASCAR stuff like some of the other games and stuff they have. So they were doing some kind of other gaming. I don't know what exactly it was, maybe Rocket League or something like that. And they had some of the Coke drivers involved in those events. And anyway, they're all in here at the end of the season. You wonder if that's NASCAR running that handle or exactly who it is, and why do they only do it, a couple months of the year? Anyway, we'll find out as we go into the championship, which is 2 weeks from now.
All right, next up, we have the iRacing paint back in Victory Lane. Tell us about it, Justin.
Yeah, Tyler Hudson tweeted, what a dream. Picked up a win in the season finale last night at JMS Speedway and clinched the championship and never finished worse than second. Living a dream. Can't thank iRacing enough for everything. And I love hearing stories like this because it's a dirt late model for you listeners, and it's got the iRacing emblem right on the front, right on the hood. Good for iRacing, good for Tyler.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler obviously works at iRacing, lives in Mississippi, even though iRacing is up in the Boston area, and so this is like a local series down in Mississippi. But yeah, I mean, iRacing is the main sponsor or primary sponsor on the car, and what's impressive is the no worse than second all season. How do you beat that,
No worse than first.
Now, we've raced with Tyler Hudson in the winter series, and it's fun. I mean, he's that guy. I'll take it 4 wide when you're 3 wide, because he's the only one who can pull it off. But it's fun racing with Tyler. Congratulations to him.
in that series, though, it's not just because he's the only one that could. That the series is full of drivers who can pull that off. We got a lot of drivers who can stay in a lane instead of a line when it gets 3 or 4 wide, because you can't run your old school line like you would when you're 2 wide. When you're 3 wide, you have to pick a lane and stay there and just kind of hope to get through it.
I think it was a couple seasons ago that happened, and we had a really good group in there. We had the Sadler brothers, and we had the Sadler Esports guys, from their team, and all the regular that have been around the Winter League forever. A bunch of people from iRacing, Kristen Schalliner, of course, who usually wins.
Well, congrats again to Tyler. Something that is obviously not rare for him is winning at the track, but the next thing we're going to talk about is something that is rare. We got the 10 rarest tracks countdown from DJ EJ, and I'll just shoot down the list. We've got Kansas Road Course, Atlanta Road Course, Orrin Park North A, Legacy Kentucky Legends Oval, Monza Oval Left, Gateway Road, Twin Ring West, Scuba 1000 Outer. That's interesting. And Iowa Road. I didn't know there was an Iowa Road.
Well, that's what I was going to say. There's kind of a theme to some of these. It's either rovals, and a road course that's built within an oval, or it's forgotten about legends kind of thing.
Yeah, and nobody very rarely. The only time the Monza Oval gets used is very occasionally goofball
in
series,
the winter.
Right? Yeah,
maybe a fixed in the winter, something like that. They'll do something like that. The other thing that he pointed out as he went through his list is he calls it the rarest tracks used in official. And he actually will point out when in official it was used, what year, what season, what car, and what series. And so I didn't take note of all those. I just wrote down the actual tracks so we could talk about them a little bit. But yeah.
So you'll see these more often in hosted / league type events for sure.
Yeah, if people know about them, and that's why we want to talk about them and highlight them a little bit, How about a Gateway Road? Who thought of a road course at Gateway?
I was actually going to go drive a Formula 4 car there a couple of summers ago, and I was the only one who signed up, so they canceled it.
And it was going to be on the road course?
Yeah.
Oh, darn it.
I was like, I can practice this track. I was literally going to get on iRacing and know the track before we go there, because it's kind of like the Rusty Wallace experience thing.
The third one you called out, Atlanta Road Course. That's not Road Atlanta he's talking about. He's talking about the Atlanta Oval Roval.
I can remember that coming up a long time ago in some MX5 series, I think, or maybe one of the slightly higher up series, Class C or Class D. I remember seeing that a few times, like 7 or 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm. The other one I had no idea about was Twin Ring West. So Twin Ring Motegi, which is an oval, apparently has a little west side road course. Now, all these are really tiny road courses, as he pointed out, usually populated by very low power road course cars, open wheel or fendered, but you wouldn't race any fast cars on these short tracks.
All right, well, it's no surprise we have back-to-back titles for Evan Say in the 2023 World of Outlaws Butt Kicker Late Model Series. And we got a nice tweet or X out from iRacing, showing his car.
Every time when it's on YouTube and here in my garage, I'll turn it on, and every time I turn it on, this guy's just dominating the race.
Well, he deserves it then. Yeah, we don't have a lot of information because Brian is traveling this week for work, and we didn't get his thoughts on it. But congratulations, Devin.
All right, we saw some exciting news that has some of us kind of giddy almost. There's been a long hope that we could start seeing the SRX cars in iRacing, and it's now happening. They're partnering up with SRX to bring the cars into the iRacing fold.
Yep. By 2024, it says they have an agreement. iRacing and SRX have planned to do a scan of the car and get it into iRacing. Here's a couple quotes from the release. iRacing President Tony Gardner, quote, "We're excited to welcome SRX into iRacing in a future release. The SRX car has been a big request from our customers, and many of their past and present tracks are already on the service, which will allow for a quick and seamless integration. We're looking forward to a release sometime next year, and we can't wait for our iRacers to get their hands on it."
I think this will be a pretty popular series.
I'm just curious to see how the car's going to feel. It's a unique design.
I was just thinking that, like, is it a kind of like a late model? Is it kind of like a super late model? Is it kind of like a, what is it? Where does it fit in the realm of oval cars?
Like if a late model and the next gen cup car had a baby.
Now, the actual series, they can't change tires, can they? Except between heats, I guess. Or
well, they don't have time.
Right?
They don't have like live pit stops, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah. I know.
There's not like a pit crew for every car. Yeah.
I don't get to see it too often because sometimes it's on. Like I live in Indiana, and it's not on until like 10, 11 o'clock at night. Sometimes some of these races.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so pretty cool. SRX. I've seen some of the replays. I don't think I've watched any live, but kind of reminds me of back in the day. We had the All-Star Series. I forget the name of it. It would kind of piggyback off of NASCAR tracks, and they would bring over the IndyCar drivers and sometimes some off-road guy or something, and a bunch of NASCAR guys, and it was kind of neat to see who was best.
Are you talking about the iRock series?
Right, iRock, that's right. True Value iRock.
All right, this next one's interesting. I would assume that he actually uses a real life spotter, but Matt Busa posted some throwback spotter pack videos from his last three Coke races, and I guess it's featuring NASCAR 23 or 2003 spotters, right?
Right, that's the neat thing about this is I don't think it's an actual spotter pack. I think he just dubbed in some audio here on top of some race footage and kind of made it sound cool. But yeah, it sounds like the spotters from NASCAR Racing 2003. And if you have raced that at some point in your life and you listen to this video, it is kind of a blast from the past. You're like, wow, I remember hearing that.
We need the one from from Days of Thunder where the crew is out getting ice cream when the bug happens and they just will not pit your car.
Now, I did reply to Matt and said, hey, you should actually make a spotter pack out of this. He didn't reply, though. It sounds like a lot of work.
All right, next up, we have a thread about multiple iRacing users uh, on the same computer when you're doing a team driver change. And I have not gotten a chance to read through it. Have you, Justin?
No, not yet, David. I'm having trouble opening up the link.
Basically, it's Jack Baker saying he remembers back when endurance racing was being released that iRacing said they were probably going to implement this single rig, multiple iRacing user driver change functionality into the sim. And I kind of remember that too now that he mentions that. But it never actually happened. What he's hoping for is a way to quick change, like a functionality, like when you go to set up for a team event, you have a check mark or something that says, "Hey, we're using the same computer, same rig," and it takes credentials, your username, password for each team member at that time, and you're pre-logged in, so to speak, on the same computer with two accounts. And that way, when you go to do a driver change, there's a different button or something that says, "Oh, we're switching drivers, but we're on the same PC," or something like that. Because it's a huge disadvantage otherwise. Because think about it, you'd have to hit the car, get out of the car, close iRacing, and then relaunch, and then sign out, and then sign in, and then relaunch iRacing, and you'd lose all this time.
But one of the first replies really hits home that this would really open up the door for somebody to just solo iRace if they had two accounts.
Good point. Yeah, how would you police that, right?
And then a following person argues that they should be allowed to solo race it. And no, it's cool if you can do it in a 24-hour race, but there are a lot of 2 and 3 and 6-hour event races that are supposed to be team, and then somebody could exploit that and just run it solo with two accounts.
But what I'm saying is, if they develop the functionality correctly, David, it wouldn't be any advantage or disadvantage from, actually switching people, the timing of it.
Right, but the point is, it would allow somebody to it would allow basically somebody to break the solo rule.
Right, that's true. Now, he did put up a poll and people voted. 50% say yes, I want a sim slumber party on my buddy's rig. 37% voted no, I'm not going to have a slumber party with a bunch of adults. I think that's the one I voted for, was no. Like, I'm not going to have everybody over and switch off on my rig. I don't think so. I'd rather have everyone at their own place. We get together in Discord virtually and race. And that works out really well.
Yeah, and if you really are racing as a family, you should have multiple rigs anyway so that you can race each other.
Right. Like Donnie Spiker and his son, they both have their own rig. They don't want to share. And sometimes they're in the same race. They're in the same NIS race,
All right, well, we hinted at the Coke race a couple times already, but there's only 4 drivers remaining in the battle for that 100K top prize. And who will be the 2023 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series champion? We'll have to wait for the live final at the NASCAR Hall of Fame next week to see.
Garrett Lowe, Tucker Minter, Nick Ottinger, and Steven Wilson are the 4. I saw the guy from iRacing begging Bob Pockras to show up at the event to cover it.
Who do you think's going to win, Mike?
I think you got to go with Tucker Minter just because he has momentum. These guys are so equal and they're all the best, and so it's really hard to pick. But On the other hand, you got Steven Wilson with actual experience of racing at the NASCAR Hub, a NASCAR Hall of Fame last year, and so that might be an advantage because I think it's such a jarring experience to pull these guys out of their bedroom where they've raced their entire career, stick them up on the stage, literally on a riser on a stage in front of an audience, and then you got celebrities and TV cameras and lighting and all this stuff pointing at you and people making noise and all this stuff. So it's got to be a bit different, take you out of your element.
I know. I always wondered that. You know, you did 99. You do 99.9% of your races on your home rig. Then they take these they are pro drivers, and take them to the main stage and put them on a totally separate rig. Like, that's got to mess with you.
Well, they have the option to bring their own stuff, and last year I think all of them but one did actually.
Oh, really?
And the one who didn't, they kind of recreated his rig with the same make and model wheel and shifter and pedals and stuff. Even though it wasn't his personal ones, they gave him the same equipment, I think.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine not having everything the way it still is, because that can basically change the entire feel of the car if you're using different rigs.
Well, Casey Kerwin, when he set up his rig last year, he even brought like the little table he has on the side of his rig where he puts this various stuff that's really not part of his racing, but because it's always there and he always has it, he brought it anyway because it's part of the scene.
If you're racing for $100,000, you want it just right.
I'm telling you. The other thing about the finale is you got the people racing for the top 20 to make it into next year's event. And we saw how the end of the last race went. Desperation has sunk in, for some of these guys. And they're just wrecking like crazy at the back. And, are we going to have that again as we're trying to, determine a championship? I don't know. We'll see. We are set up for a audio room in Discord for the race this coming Tuesday. Please join us. If you have trouble with finding us on Discord, do a search, iRacers Lounge, and find us. But there is an audio room that Kyle set up that we're going to be in there to watch the race live and just have a chat as we watch it. Should be fun.
I'll be there.
All right, last week we were talking about Legacy Series, Mike, and we got an email on it.
Yeah, listener Jason Bossy wrote up and said, if iRacing did earlier eras, I kind of wish they'd unlocked the pits and not enforce modern pit road speed limits. Maybe it wouldn't add any new dynamic to the races, but I'd like to see it to determine this. Maybe a week 13 experiment, but would likely require complex coding for something like that may seem simple. That'd be a neat idea. There was no pit road speed limits back in the day. It was just, come on in. What else back in the day that we want to bring back that we don't have is the other question I have. We had the lap cars to the inside on restarts. And we actually did that in the 87 series. They're doing that already. So, yeah, I can't think of anything else.
One of the only other crazy things you could do is the old mad dash to the cars for like the Le Mans race.
You run out?
We actually have to run and get in the car. I wouldn't mind seeing an actual boxing match inserted into the game where you can confront people at the end of the game and just throw a few punches, just because instead of wrecking them on purpose, I wonder if it would actually be gratifying to just throw a picture of their face and just.
Well, they have a lot of developers, a lot of people that work at iRacing. At some point, they're going to have some time to just do some fluff, as I call it, like you just described. I'll call it fluff, but maybe they need to add a little fluff. Like Donnie always said, why don't we have a victory lane? Why doesn't they roll the car into victory lane or something like that? And it seems so obvious to him as he comes into iRacing. That was the one thing that Donnie said. Why don't we have this? It doesn't make sense. And I agree. Got to have time for donuts, but like after your donuts or something, like after you exit the car, yeah, I want to see a little splash screen or something. Show us something.
I'd like a trophy room.
A trophy room, right? Like some flashy trophy, and it shows the new one being put up on the shelf or something. You see all your other ones. Because, I get out of the car after the donuts and I'm screaming and I'm hollering and I'm shaking my fist, and my dog is just looking at me like, you're freaking nuts,
All right, Justin, the next one's not directly iRacing related, but we're pretty NASCAR centric too. So tell us about it.
Yeah, and David Hutch Games puts out a X, rev up your engines, because we're teaming up with NASCAR to unleash a new standalone mobile game. And we can't wait to bring the spectacle, tactics, and drama of NASCAR to a global mobile audience. Is this something you guys will be into?
I don't do mobile gaming on my phone, really. I don't know. I mean, if it's not expensive, I might try it just for fun. But, we've been talking a lot about NASCAR console games and what the future of that might be. This isn't quite console, but it's close. And with all the discussion recently about everything that's been going on, I thought we should just mention it. Is Hutch the company that's doing the console game because they're doing the mobile game? I don't know. I've never even heard of Hutch. So I doubt it. But it's neat to see NASCAR's all in with different. We know they're doing a mobile game now. We know they're going to do a console game. We just don't know with who. We know they're in a PC with iRacing. So, yeah, pretty cool.
So, with all the changes in IMSA and the old Euro series going away, they've added an IMSA fixed series that kind of runs opposite hour of the IMSA Open. And it's only 35 minutes instead of 45 minutes. And people started discovering they could pretty much do a little fuel saving and not have to stop. So, this is just a quick update from Greg West that they've changed the fuel levels from 60% down to 50% to try to make no stopping a less optimal strategy.
Yeah, I heard this on the iRacing Downshift podcast they put out earlier today. Greg West and team. And this is one of the things they mentioned, so I went and found it. But a good podcast they put out describing the season build, basically, all the different content that came out. They talked about the esports and stuff, kind of like we're doing today.
Yeah, they always like to have that one pit stop be a part of the IMSA strategy, just because it creates a little bit of a strategy option. You can try to short pit to get around traffic, or you can run it out, which tends to be the most, if you're not fighting traffic too bad, tends to be the most optimal option because your car is the lightest when it's real light on fuel. but you can get lucky and skip a lot of traffic sometimes, depending on which class you're running.
I don't know if I'm ready to jump into IMSA. I feel like with road, I'm still trying to stay at a lower level until I feel like I'm up to speed better. And so I'm purposely staying away from the big cars, the big series. Even though I've run those in the past and stuff, I'm trying to gradually get to that point in an effective manner. So this next one, David, is what I've been running.
Well, go ahead and tell about it. It's the FIA regional, and they've added a couple more time slots. As a matter of fact.
That's right. So added some time slots. I think it was 3, and now it's 4 or 5. Um, just so you could start earlier in the evening if you want, or later in the evening. I ran this last week. I'll be running it again tonight for sure, at least once. But it's fun, and it's kind of neat to compete. They talked about this on the Downshift podcast a little bit. The idea behind it is to have um, local times, but also local servers. So when they put up the server, it's actually in the region of the event. So in the Americas, we're using the Boston servers. But if you're in Europe, you're using a server in Germany. Okay. So the whole idea is a low latency race kind of thing. Even though other people can join these regional events from other areas, that's the idea behind it.
Yeah, it's interesting in the summers if you get up and run an IMSA race in the morning, it'll be on a German server, and you can tell that you're the car that's lagging around a little bit more than the European guys.
Right. Do you think we'll ever have an internet where that doesn't happen?
That's I don't know. You're simply fighting physics at this point. There's the speed of light, and on the cables, it's still takes a while now. But jumping up to space actually shortens that distance with Starlink, where you can get really low latencies. But that's their net is not fully complete, right? And that's also a pretty expensive service. So you're always going to have just the whole infrastructure. You're just having to go through so many wires, and speed of light can't go any faster than it.
The way the internet, if you think of how old the internet is today, and then you think, okay, what is it going to be like 20 years from now? I think we'll get to that point eventually where there is no latency between America and Europe. They'll figure it out.
All right, we're already ready to jump into some events, and the first one coming up, I just noticed the Mad Sim guys have started talking about planning for it, is the iRacing Petite Le Mans. It will be
Powered by
coming.
VCO.
Yeah, powered by VCO. It's going to be coming up. It's a 10-hour event, endurance race, and it's going to be the October 6th through the 8th, and it's good old 22, 07, 12, and 16 GMT time slot. Running at Road Atlanta, D 4.0 road. It starts at 10:55 a.m. in the morning, so it's pretty much run during the daytime, I think, even though I think daylight savings time is still on at this point as well. So it'll pretty much be daytime. 30-minute warm up. Just about all the same settings. 50 incident points before the penalties kick in. Field size of 45. I didn't talk about the cars. It's the IMSA cars.
Yep. And with the new build, they can do up to 12 cars now.
Yep. So there's 4 GTPs, 6 GTDs, and then the LMP2 Delara.
There's 11 cars in this list, so they could do 12 apparently. Okay, and I'll take the next event. The World of Outlaw Sprint Car Qualifier is actually starting this week or next week. And so if you're interested in getting involved in sprint car dirt, September 25th is the first event. That's next week at the dirt track at Charlotte. It goes 6 weeks only through the month of October. October 30th is the last race. These are official events. You just have to get in and go for points. They take the top however many in points and then put them in the championship. Podcast housekeeping, leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform to make it easier for more listeners to find us. Mention the podcast to your fellow drivers so they don't miss out. We do appreciate it. Check out our Discord. Like I said, we'll be live Tuesday night, hoping to hear from you guys. And our website, iRacersLounge.com. And we're in regular rotation at the Performance Motorsports Network. And don't forget, iRacersLounge.shop to get your merch. Now, guys, I got some of the merch in this week. I got the big jersey. It has my name on the back, American flag on one shoulder, got Sim Wrap sponsorship on the other, and a huge, massive, oversized iRacers Lounge logo on the front. I love it. I mean, I was just like, it's like silk. It's like a racing jersey kind of thing. Maybe something you'd see a soccer player wear or something like that. I don't know how to describe it, but it's really good quality. And I also got a nice T-shirt with the logo on it as well. T-shirt also, I don't know what it's made out of, but it's really nice. It's not like thin garbage. It's a really high quality shirt. Waiting on the hat and a polo still. I also got the giant mouse pad, and that was really cool too. So get your merch, guys. There's a lot of good stuff. I'm very impressed with the quality.
All right, I think we can talk some fantasy if one of y'all can pull up the stats because we don't have it on the script.
Yeah, David.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
No, you go ahead, Justin.
All right. Yeah. So the overall results right now that I got pulled up is Canadian 1, P1, second place Team Dewan, 3 South Carolina Racing, 4 NASCAR Jedi 2, and 5 Res Dog. Now I gotta find the Bristol results.
Yeah, I have those. We got number 1, AJL 14, 2, NASCAR Jetty 2, 3, Louder Racing, last year's champion. 4 is Shane 7272. 5 is North South Racing. As far as Team Tifosi, we had Steve Llewellyn in 7th. We had Dwayne Blow-a-Tranny in 9th. Mackenzie Stevens 14th, and there's Tyler Williamson 16th. So what do you guys think of Bristol?
I ended up missing the race. I think I didn't catch the race. I had other stuff going on. We had just finished the show, right? And then I went to go fly a mission.
Didn't he deserve?
Yeah, I don't think
he had the fastest
I paid
score.
attention.
I think it's pretty interesting, and it's been talked about on some of the other shows how Denny is the new villain, which is kind of. I think it's mostly because of who he's hired.
Yeah, I mean, he does perfect with marketing, and I don't think he's actually like he's like being an actor. It's not really him, but he's using it to his advantage to bring in listeners for his podcast. Haters are as good as fans. I think he's doing a brilliant job at it.
Yeah, he's definitely eating it up. I'm actually just kind of perplexed on why he's seen as a villain to begin with. And well, the answer is because he goes up against the popular driver.
Well, he had a long run in, earlier in the year with Ross Chastain. They were going back and forth a bit, and that has some of it. But I really think the podcast is really what is taking Denny to the next level with the fans, because it gives him that place where he can, vocalize about his race and what he thought about how others raced and so forth. And some people, take like his take, or they don't like his take, and so I think you get the haters coming that way. And like you said, it doesn't matter if they're booing as long as they're making noise, right?
I think he's bringing in new fans in general too. So, and more fans, the better for NASCAR. I'm always rooting them on.
Yeah, and I think it's a double bonus that he's an owner, as well, and he could talk about the ownership stuff of it. Like, for example, the fans wouldn't know squat about the NASCAR negotiations with the TV contract if it wasn't for Denny. Seriously, like, who else is talking about it? Nobody is. All right, so what about Texas? We're going into Texas. What do you like?
Well, it's a mile and a half.
Ross Chastain ever going to come alive again?
I think you got to put money on Tyler again.
Are you really going to put money out like you did last week where you lost, or?
Yeah, I lost bad. Well, Bowman won me some group bets. I won my money back, I guess I should say. I was projected to win a lot more. But I placed 6 and bets down on only 1, 2, so.
All right. Texas, David?
I'm going to make an emotional pick and go for one of the RFK guys.
They got some momentum too. Be nice to see Brad break through instead of the other guy. Finally, Christopher.
It's fascinating how literally last year and the year before they were at the bottom of the heap of the Fords, and now Penske's nowhere to be seen, and they're the ones basically taking all the Ford success.
I think who I'm going to watch this week carefully is Daniel Suarez. I feel like he's on the hot seat now with the Zane Smith announcement, where Trackhouse basically has one too many drivers for 2025. And so I think they're competing for a seat, to be honest. I think between Ross Chastain, Daniel Suarez, and Zane Smith, because we know SVG isn't going anywhere. He's going to be there long term. You kind of almost feel like Ross Chastain's not going anywhere either. But not so sure about Daniel Suarez. Is the Daniel Suarez experiment over? I mean, he's had a long time to make something happen.
He loses his cool too easy now for whatever reason. I don't know why, but he just does some bonehead things, and that's really it.
And
we'll see in a couple of years.
I'll mention one other person I'm going to watch, Martin Truex Jr. We heard ex-girlfriend Sherry Pollux has finally succumbed to cancer. She's been a cancer survivor over the years, and She finally passed away recently. I think this week, and how does that affect Martin? Even though they weren't together anymore, they were together a very long time. She was a big part of the NASCAR scene for so many years. So God bless, her family and everybody. Rest in peace.
But for some people, work is an escape from grief. So, it could be a chance for that. It could mean that he just gets really focused, right? Instead of it bringing him down and hampering his performance.
Well, he needs a good week. He needs a good race this week to keep in this thing. So.
All right, let's move on to hardware software sponsored by Metro Ford of Chicago. We're opening up with a video from Lawrence DeSwasa's channel, and it's a review of the Butt Gamer Plus or Butt Kicker Gamer Plus, which I believe is what I have. And he considers it a great value compared to the other systems.
He does. This is what I have also. This is the one I bolted to the bottom of my seat, right under my butt. And that's what Lawrence was saying too, is look, you got to get these things as close to you physically as you can. The closer, the better. You put them out on the corners and they're going through the rig, they're going to have a less impact. And so he even mentioned, if you could mount it directly to your seat, that's ideal. Now, he decided not to do that because he has a pretty nice seat. I don't think he wanted to mess up. But yeah, he was trying them on the corners and comparing them to, like, what if you built your own? Is it cheaper? Well, yeah, it's cheaper, but this is convenient. It's easy. They give you everything you need. The cable, the amp, the actual device. It's kind of plug and play. He talks about the software, which I run as well. The Butt Kicker software. It's not necessary, but this device can be powered by USB via the software. So you don't have to power it with actual audio, like from an audio cable, which is also an option as well. But I wanted to try the USB with the new software. It's got some sliders and stuff where you can dial it in. Now, I think Lawrence's takeaway on this was use the Butt Kicker Gamer software if you're only doing one. But if you have multiple ones, like you're trying to do one on each corner, you got to use SimHub, because the software that Butt Kicker provides doesn't support multiple units.
Yeah, I'm just on the single unit and still just run straight out of iRacing.
Now, I plan on getting one of these in the near future. Now, is this an upgrade that would help performance?
Yes, you can feel tire slip, really big time. You can tell.
Now,
you notice how much I was wearing the tires out today than you, right?
Yeah.
Part of that is because I know when the car is slipping, and even though I could step on the gas more and turn the wheel more, and I know that I would be shredding the tire.
I want to point out, though, David is obscenely turning up the tire slip and turning down everything else, which is going to give him less immersion. But he's doing it for one reason. He's doing it for tire slip to help him save tires. So keep that in mind, Justin, because I didn't add mine for tire slip. I added mine for immersion. I want to feel the rumble of the engine. I want to feel the rumble strips as I roll over them. I want to feel the clink of the gear shift and all that. So I have all the stuff turned on, and I have tire slip turned on.
I don't have them turned off.
It all depends on how you set it up.
I don't have them turned off. I just have them lower. I still feel the engine. I definitely still feel curves, because curves is kind of feedback on where you're going on the track. So those are turned up pretty high. I just have the balances shifted. And I do the same thing with the audio as well. I have the engine turned down and the tire slip turned all the way up. And I've done that for well over 10 years.
Yeah. And Justin, the thing when you buy one of these, you got to have a place to put the amp, and a lot of people don't think about that. Like when I bought my first butt kicker, I didn't think about it really. I just bought it, and I'm like, wow, where am I going to put this thing? And I had to like design a shelf just for the butt kicker amps as part of my rig. So I have a shelf, a wood shelf that's kind of in front and below my pedal, and that's where they sit. And like I said, if you can uh, mount it straight to the seat, that's the best spot. And I was a little hesitant to drill holes in my expensive seat, but it worked out. I mean, you just got to pick the right drill bit and you got to get the right screws and nuts. What's what Now you got to remember butt kicker has different units available. They have the Gamer 2, which is the original. This is the Gamer Plus. Now what makes this one unique is it has 3 mounting holes. So you don't have to use the clamp. It does have a clamp system where you can clamp it to something. So I'm obviously not using the clamp. I'm using the 3 mounting holes. But this is the only butt kicker that has the 3 mounting holes. There's also a more expensive butt kicker, Gamer, I forget the name of it, and it doesn't have the mounting holes, but it's much bigger.
That's the one I have. So it's mounted to my rear crossbar on my rig, right
You have
behind
it clamped, right?
Mm-hmm. And I have it clamped.
Right.
I have it clamped to a giant socket wrench cylinder, essentially. That I just grabbed at the hardware store and screwed onto the rig.
What's the name of yours, David?
It's the big one. I don't remember the title.
Yeah, I don't either. It is much bigger. It's like twice as big. But I bought the Plus just because I could mount it.
I figured I would just run a piece of 80/20 excursion under my seat and just mount it there. Would that be good? Or does it need to be directly to the seat?
You want to have it.
I mean, that's the thing.
You don't want to run as an extra pipe if it's not going to actually be touching the seat, because then you're just adding more excursion to dampen it. So you want as little excursion as you can to the seat. So either directly to the seat or as solidly connected as you can, so that the vibration can get through the whole excursion. If you ran a short piece of 80/20 out, that would end up just being a shock absorber.
See, I have 2. I have the one I mounted to the bottom of the seat, but I also have the original Gamer 2, and it's mounted to a pipe that sticks out the back of my rig down way below the seat. And when I just had that one there alone, it provides a good rumble, but it rumbles the whole rig and it kind of makes noise and it kind of rattles, and it's a neat effect. But I tell you what, mounting it to the bottom of the seat is way better than mounting it to your cockpit. The what you feel, going into your body is way different. So I would definitely recommend, drill it straight to, into your seat.
All right, next up we have an Instagram review of the Sim Racing Den, and they're highly recommending SimCore pedals, which are a type of face for your Huskenfeld Ultimates.
Yeah, nice. So if you have Huskenfeld Ultimates, which are all metal, even the face, these are kind of like a plastic overlay or that you lay over them or stick onto them.
It's interesting. These are the pedals I got. I didn't realize they're Huskenfelds.
And so they're made by SimCore. Now, SimCore is one of my favorite companies in the sim industry. Everything they make is like this super high quality. So pretty neat looking pedal faces. I wonder if they're plastic or are they metal? They must be metal. Yeah, I doubt they would sell them if they were plastic because of the reputation of that company. So yeah, if you want a nice upgrade for your Heiskenvelds, check out what SimCore has.
Random detail about it. The label, the SimCore label, will be upside down on mine on inverted pedals. That might bug some people with OCD.
Oh, good point.
Our next up's a name I haven't seen in a while. We've got a playseat NASCAR Evolution Pro up here, and it's being promoted on the eNet NASCAR website, and it's of their Pro Sim rig. I'm not going to read the ad. It looks like your typical playseat rig where the seat's sitting on top of a small rig with a pedal plate and a post going up the middle for your wheel. And I remember one of our old teammates struggled with this because he actually could not get to the brake pedal very easily for left foot braking because that post is right in the middle.
Yeah, so we lost the link. I don't know where the link is, but as I mentioned before, eNASCAR has come alive on social media recently, and they updated the eNASCAR website too. And one of the things they promote there is eNASCAR sim racing gear. And you know, it's a neat idea that NASCAR does that, but they really need a better cockpit than this thing. Uh, Play seat, nah, nobody's buying a play seat. Sorry.
That's
Like
how
you said, you can't even reach the brake.
I started on kind of a cheaper version of this. I had my little Quest 2 VR and this, and it had that center post. And you get start cranking on that wheel, it was just it would weeble wobble all over the place.
Yeah, it's not ideal. But come on, NASCAR. What I'm begging here is NASCAR get into a partnership with one of the premier sim rig companies that we all talk about every week. Not Playseat. Playseat's not one of them.
Well, they're going to put on there whoever pays them.
Well, it's a good point. You're saying NASCAR gets a check from the company just to have the NASCAR logo on the rig, right?
Yeah. That and so of course NASA's going to promote it because they get a check every time one of these sells. So it's a marketing deal, right? No different than buying advertisement.
Maybe I should be asking the sim rig manufacturers. They need to get their marketing budget together and hook up with NASCAR.
All right, let's jump around over back into the Formula Wheel arena. And I've lost count of how many of these we have, but we have the SimRep Engineering P9XX wheel. Let's talk about this one, Justin.
Yeah, SimRep Engineering is offering another nice looking addition to the Formula wheel market with their P9XX Sim Racing wheel. It's a neat looking wheel. I don't have one of these Formula One wheels yet. I don't do much road racing.
This thing is something else, and I don't think we've actually talked about this company much, if not at all. They are out of Europe. It's 1,500 euros. You can do 3K carbon as a normal option or forged carbon for $50 more. It has dual paddles on the back.
And yeah, if you can tell that the top ones are probably clutch like because they've got kind of more of a spring. The spring looks different, so one's probably analog and one's not.
And this is kind of a Porsche P9XX replica wheel. If I recall right, High Precision Sim Engineering, I think is it, has a really nice wheel that looks just like this as well. I want to say the price on that's 2,100. And so this might be like a cheaper kind of knockoff version of that. Got a display, some really nice twist knobs at the top, but not a bad wheel. So we definitely need to take a closer look at this company going forward and see what they put out.
I wonder if why anybody would justify not going the additional $50 for a higher quality carbon because that's like literally a 1% increase, right? Or less than
Right.
1%.
You're spending that much anyway. Nice wheel.
All right, we got. Is this kind of a rig review or just an announcement of a rig, Mike? On the next one.
Well, it's something new we haven't seen. It's called Retro Sims, and they have a collaboration with somebody called Base Performance, and they've introduced what they call the Hesketh 308 Blade, and they call it Reimagining a Formula One Legend. And so they show a picture here of a Formula One car from the past. It's got this massive air box on it up at the top. I don't know what year that is. It looks like maybe the 70s. And it's got a white paint job with a red and blue stripe. And so next to it, they have a tubular cockpit of the same paint scheme. Same number scheme and so forth. So not a bad looking tubular cockpit. Lots of tubes going all different directions. It looks very sturdy. Kind of a formula style seating. Even the monitor, it's got a big widescreen monitor on it. It's on the back of it. It's also got the paint livery of the car as well.
If you scroll down the site, it's showing 25,000 euros, but that's including everything.
Ooh.
It's got Husky-milled pedals on it.
That Shimmy
shifter
Cube
looks
base.
expensive.
Is that that's the OPB shifter that Brian's been drooling over, Justin.
Isn't that one like $1,200 or something?
Yeah, $1,200. Yeah.
Wow.
So I can't really find a price on just the rig.
So you're saying, David, all the sim equipment that comes with it is part of the package?
Uh-huh.
Got a neat look to it. I still wouldn't pick this over an 80/20 aluminum extrusion kind of cockpit, though.
You definitely just limited on your choices and expandability. Where are you going to throw button boxes on this?
Like, where would you put your keyboard and mouse is the first thing I see.
Well, on this one,
there's
the floor.
Yeah. Yeah, but see, that's the whole thing. I don't want my keyboard and mouse on the floor. I'm going to be using this on a regular daily basis. Yeah.
I think the sticker shock is, I don't know how much just the rig is, but yeah, that's really high. All right, tell us about, Mike, the next one. It's something to do with Samsung and a gigantic monitor.
Yeah, so their Odyssey monitor, I think initially came out, and I want to say 46-inch, if I'm doing by memory right. Now we have a 57-inch Odyssey Neo G9. They call it dual 4K or UHD. Mini LED, 240 hertz, 1 millisecond, HDR 1000 curved gaming monitor.
Say it again faster.
They say it's the world's first dual UHD monitor. So I guess the idea is the left side of it's 4K and the right side of it's 4K. I mean, you can't get better with the 240 hertz, the 1 millisecond refresh, the HDR 1000 nit brightness, 1,000,000 to 1 contrast ratio. Like Samsung is known for like having the best freaking monitors there are. So anyway, yeah, this is brand new. It's on pre-order. You can get it by October 4th. If you order right now, you can get $500 Samsung credit on us is the offer. Pricing $2,500.
We've got quite a few members who like to run the single ultra wides, so they might like something like this. Do you remember when a year or two ago we were talking about the debate over how fast of an FPS a human sees at?
Right.
Most recent information I heard on one of the science nerdy podcasts I listen to is that runs about 120 FPS actually, even though our brain can put together slower FPSs in animation, it can see up to about that rate. A
So
fly,
you're saying if you're above 120, you're probably good.
yeah, and you're not bad if you're lower, and it's just going to change how it looks. Like if you've ever seen film and then you watch behind the scenes footage of film where they're recording the fancy cameras because it's being recorded with a different type of frame rate and film and size and everything, it just feels different when you're looking at it. You know what I'm talking about?
Now, I do. Now, I want to point out this link should have been down with the video 2 stories down. So go down, guys, and look at that video. We have a video from Matt Malone. And this guy, I mean, every time I see these guys, I'm like, why am I doing a podcast and not a video YouTube channel? Because Samsung sent him this monitor this week. And he's got a video of him unboxing it, setting it up, racing with it, and he is loving it. I can tell you that. The look on Matt's face as he fires that thing up the first time, and just watching the video on the YouTube channel, the picture looks great. I mean, I don't know how it's conveying through the camera and all that, but wow! I mean, this is a massive monitor.
Do you agree with the field of view that he's got going there?
Well, I mean, he's got it behind the wheelbase. No, I don't actually. It looks like it needs to be higher up. He's kind of looking down at it to me. But if he got it higher up, he might be able to bring it closer to him. Yeah, it needs to be closer. But with a big ass monitor like that, I mean, if I was doing single monitor, this is what I would want, is like the biggest, nicest curved monitor they have. And bingo, here it is, pre-order, $2,500. Now, look though, I'm gonna be devil's advocate. If you have $2,500 to spend on monitors, man, let's get some triples. Let's do 355s, flat screens, or let's do 343s, and let's go to town. Because I still feel like triples is way better than this, 100%.
Doesn't it kind of put the side angles at a more right angle?
Right, because you can get the angle right. Like when you look at the video of him on track with this monitor, it looks weird when you see the window net on the left side of the monitor, to me. Because it's not, like you said, wrapped around to his left side enough, because it's only one monitor. But because it's so wide, you're seeing the window net and all that.
What I like about triples, so what I've noticed, this is an opinion, what I've noticed on guys using single monitors, they always got to hit that button where they look left or look right to clear people. Where triples, I've never really had to do that because I can see out my left and my right for the most part. Then if I can't see out my right, he's in my rear view mirror.
I just use my JRT visual spotter, and I'm in VR, and but I don't have to look. I can tell with the visual spotter whether I'm going to clear them or not. And you can even see the momentum, whether you can see if you're going to clear them or not, unless they suddenly catch a little bit of extra speed at the end of a corner or something. But you're right. When that does look like it's like your car is just distorted in shape.
Yeah. I don't think I would be happy with that, the single monitor widescreen. Even though it looks kind of bomb, that kind of would throw off my OCD for sure.
Well, we got one more, and we've talked about this wheel a few times. It's a SimuCube Mercedes AMG wheel, right? Or the Cube Controls, not SimuCube. It's the one without the display. And who reviewed it? It looks like Dan Suzuki reviewed it, right?
So we haven't seen this one actually. I think we saw it at the trade show, the expo. But I think it's just now come out from Cube Controls, and it's a bit different than the other Cube Controls that they've had out. So if you remember, I have the F Pro without a display. Then they have I think it's called the GX3 with the display. And then they introduced a cheaper version of mine that's called the F Core. Now, this is the Mercedes version of the F Pro, basically. And it's got the Mercedes logo on it, but it's also got the Cube Controls logo on it. Then Dan Suzuki's OCD doesn't like that. And I don't like that the wheel has two logos either. It's got one really fancy logo with kind of a textured background with the Mercedes, and down below it like a painted on logo from Cube Controls. They just clash. I mean, visually to me, that's such a turnoff to have both logos on there. I don't know how Cube Controls could do it differently, where they can, maintain their branding but keep the Mercedes emblem. But the way they did it, Dan didn't like it. I didn't like it. Other than that, I mean, it's a 320 millimeter wheel, which is wider than most. Most wheels are 300 or less. David, I think yours is 280.
I believe so.
Yeah, 280. So like the Fanatec ones are like 280. Mine is 300. This one's 320. Now, this is a kind of a replica wheel of the real Mercedes wheel. Now, why do I say kind of a replica? Because the logo matches, the width, the 320 millimeter matches, but on the real wheel, they don't have the LED light up buttons. On the sim wheel, they do. So there's some differences in that. This is a little more flashier. It only has the shifters. It doesn't have the dual clutch paddles on the back. And Dan Suzuki thought for this price, for what you're getting with this wheel, they should have included those, or at least had an option to add them. And they're not even an option to add them at this point.
That's definitely a deal breaker.
So other than that, the normal great quality from Cube Controls. They're a company out of Italy. You can't go wrong with the way they connect the cable to the wheel, because they have that magnetic connector, which I think is just a deal breaker as well. I'm pretty biased to this company just because of that connector. Right, NASCAR iRacing results. Let's finish up Bristol. We have Sunday Open. David, P. Rex.
Yeah, this is a top split shit show. I had 12X from early Rex, like by lap 20. And so I basically stopped racing and just started hiding and trying as far back as I could without losing a lap. Got about halfway through the race and was kind of sort of doing the same thing, but the wreck happened probably 4 or 5 cars in front of me. He's sideways. I T-bone him and then get sandwiched full speed from behind as well and meatballed.
Yikes. All right, Justin, P18.
Yeah, I didn't do a good job writing down my results this week. I just wanted to sum it all up in one shot. All week I didn't finish. This is my best result, P18 out of 4 attempts. Out of those races, only one I made it halfway. But I was fast. I led 100 laps. It's either I screwed up or people wrecked me. It was just nuts.
Well,
This
you led
Bristol,
some laps.
yeah, this Bristol was sloppier than last year or the last Bristol race, the spring race.
I had a hard time at Bristol this week because I just couldn't do anything on the bottom. I had to be on the top. If I had to pass somebody that was on the top already and I had to go to the bottom around him, I usually couldn't. I had to go down there and I would lose spots instead of getting around him. So I pretty much forced myself to stay on top because of that, and didn't run very well because of it.
I figured it being full length that it would calm down quite a bit, but apparently it didn't at all.
All right, let's talk Texas. Wednesday Open, P9. Started 24th, drove it up to second. By the halfway mark, green flag stops. Didn't fare too well for me, and I shook out 7th. Made it as high up to 6th. Then a lap car trying to get underneath me, even though I'm on the bottom. He can't take the hint and go around the outside. So he hits me, and I fall back and finish 9th. I called the lap car out over the radio. I told him there's some driver etiquette to let the lead lap racers race near the end of the race without interfering. And he claimed to be like Dale Earnhardt, and he's going to go 100% every lap, no matter what, even if he's 100 laps down. Well, he got shown by several people in the lobby. Basically, they all told him he was a dumbass. Um, but yeah, I don't understand people like that. I mean, he did have better tires, but I was clearly protecting the bottom. He could have tried to go around the outside, but it's just ridiculous that he shoves it in there on a lead lapper, like with 10, 20 laps left in the race, and disrupt me like that. So anyway, I had probably had a better finish going, but I ended up P9. Chris ran with us, and he got a P17. He says, what is 25th when green flag pit stops started, cycled to the lead, and then pitted last with new tires and drove back up to 17th. Oh, yeah, I remember this. So basically, we had green flag stops. He was kind of in the back already before the stops. He just didn't pit. Everyone else pitted. He ended up in the lead. And I'm like, well, what's your strategy here? He's like, I'm hoping for a caution, and he didn't get it. So he had to pit under green, was way back, but was able to make up some of that ground. David, P16.
Yeah, I was the first caution on this one. Car got loose, and it never did this in practice. I did 20 and 30 lap runs in practice, and it just felt fine. But you're not under the same pressure when you have as you are when somebody was handling you down. So it definitely changed, I guess, the way I was driving. And I got loose and hurt actually a couple of other Mad Sim teammates. But they fortunately finished, so I didn't take them out of the race. After that, it was a mid speed car, and that's where I finished.
All right, and then Justin, P14.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed. I got a 14X, nothing that I could avoid by any chance. A lot of cautions. I just wanted to finish a race, like I told you earlier in Bristol. I never finished a race all week. Never done that before. So I finally finished one. I counted it as a win.
Turn it around, right? Tony Rochette, P20. I absolutely sucked harder than a Dyson vacuum bowling ball demo. Loved Old Texas. I say demo this track. I want the Old Texas back. It was great. I don't like what they did to 1 and 2 to this track. Tyler Williamson ran with us as well. P21 for him. Thursday Open, all three of us ran, and I got a P5. I actually ran about top 5 all day long, right around 5th, 6th or so, 4th. We did have one green flag stop. Everything went smoothly, and I didn't screw it up. I was a little loose through 3. I kept telling you guys, and you guys gave me some great adjustments to make on the pit stops that helped, and I didn't screw up, and I got a nice top 5. Didn't have anything for the win, but man, I'll take that. David, P27.
I did screw up pretty embarrassingly. I was definitely upset at the time. We were on I guess a 60 lap run at the end. We split it with about 25 to go, short pitted, and literally we were not even back up to full speed yet. The caution comes out. So I'm in the lucky dog position. I get that back, and I was actually pretty good on the short run if I went hard on the short run. And so I got back up towards the front as we were still having a lot of crazy cautions. Then on the second green, white, checkered, I have everybody telling me this guy behind me is going wrecking everybody, and I guess it gets in my head. I don't get a great start, and the pack is pulling away from me, and I just clip the grass and get all the way down on the grass. I lock it up because I'm heading towards pit wall, so I'm trying just not to go into pit wall, and it kind of loops back around and lands right on the apron. It doesn't go up on the track, but it still brings a caution out. But on the last green right circuit, I didn't really race because I was only back in 29th and was pretty ego hurt at that point. And I already had at least a P16, so there was no point in going bonsai to get back up to 20th. So that's where it was, 27th. Kind of just threw this one away.
Now, didn't you guys were in the same split, and didn't you have a deal where you didn't pit and you were in the pit window, and then you were looking at running out of fuel and you had to pit under green, and then the caution came out?
Yeah, and the majority didn't pit. Just keep that in mind. And the cars that did pit were not really outrunning us either. So yeah, I went ahead and decided to short pit. I literally said a couple of laps earlier, I always get screwed when I short pit. But then I had a guy who's decided that I was faster than that, but he was going to be Mr. Ryan Newman. So I went ahead and short pitted. He short pitted the next lap, but I did frog leap him and got around him. But the caution came out as I was going around him.
If we would have pitted one lap later, we would have been in the top 10 probably.
No, 2 laps later.
Timing.
2, yeah.
Because we did pass the guy that was right in front of me when I pitted. I got out. I cycled out ahead of him.
All right, Justin, you had a P13.
Yeah, the same race as David. I qualified 8th. Yeah, I ran in the top 10 chunk of the race. I just pulled a rookie move. What usually happens is 1 or 2, I get tight. I get the right rear hot, and then I send her into 3 and 4, and she's just all over the place. Spun it, rookie move, no damage, brought out the caution. I was kind of embarrassed myself. Just played catch up the rest of the race. This is my first race I'm actually messing with tire pressures, and that helped me in the short run. So, yeah, I'm just learning.
All right, you got to finish. Other events that I ran, hosted Chris McGuire Gen 5 at Talladega, got wrecked out near the end. Then we 87s at Talladega. It turned into a fuel mileage race. I was backing way off to see if I could make it. And some guys were coming faster up behind me and literally ran right over the top of me. I was so mad. I called them out over the radio and everything. And dude, I mean, just go around. You see the slower car. It's 15 miles slower than you. It's on the bottom. Just go around. I don't get it. I don't understand why this run into the back of me. It's just ridiculous. So then I looked at Draftmeister, which last week I said I'm not going to run because it's open set. But then I realized, what car is it this week? It's Car of Tomorrow. Oh, I always run Car of Tomorrow and hosted Chris McGuire. I might have a set. And I did have a set, but it's 3 years old, and it was saved from a hosted event under Chris McGuire. But I tested it, and it was fast. And so I'm like, okay, well, even if it's 3 years old, it works. So let's do it. So I ran the car tomorrow at Daytona. I got first attempt. I got wrecked out lap 7, but was able to finish and come home P13. The next night I ran winner, winner, chicken dinner, career win number 96. Everything went perfect. I followed the leader right up into the last lap and just drove around him on the outside, just how I planned it. Like as I was ending that race, I was like, do I want to be in the lead or do I want to be in second? And I decided I wanted to be in second on that white so I could just pull that perfect move, through 3 and 4 and just roll him. And sure enough, I knew that he had less tires than I had. And that's exactly what I did. I kind of pinched down a little bit to hold him on the bottom. He had to back off because his tires were worse than mine, and I just drove right by him and won the race. So after that, I tried it again to get 2 in a row. I ended up second in the second race. I was fighting with the leader and I actually hit the wall. It was my mistake, but man, I'll take that I rating. Third attempt of the night found me in the car number 24 in top split with people in there like Parker Retzlaff, the Xfinity driver, and other high I rating folks. I was running with guys that were like 6,000, 7,000 I rating, and I ended up P7. Next night, top split again. I started 8th. I drove up to second at the end. Ended up fighting for a third with a lap car. A lap car was in the way. I actually hit him and fell back and finished P6. So, guys, I've been farming. I gained roughly 300 I rating across those events.
What's your IR now?
2,800. I was at 2,450 or something. So tonight I'll run that FIA F4, but then I'm going to start running these until I go to bed and try to do some more farming.
Then you got Talladega, I think is the next one, Cup.
Well, if I'm going to win this championship, this might be the key. Because right now Tom is getting so many more points than I am because his I rating is so much higher than mine. And so if I can farm some I rating and get a little bit closer to his I rating, I might have a chance to at least try to keep up. He almost has a 200-point lead on me right now. But drop weeks will kick in. I have no idea which way it's going to go after drop weeks, so I'm kind of anxious to see what happens. All right, with that, let's go to final thoughts. David Hall.
So I snuck in the extra race because I had to have my stomach looked at for acid reflux issues, and turns out that's what's been causing the whole cough that's been killing my voice for the entire last year. And it was interesting. Not allowed to drive, but I was able to sim race. I can't though say that the grass was because of the anesthesia. I just made a mistake. But it was cool to get the extra time off, sort of. Though we're in the middle of marching season, so I hated missing rehearsal.
Well, how do they rehearse when the band director's not there?
I've got a good drum major, and I have a flag. My flag sponsor is also the basketball coach, in that, which is a different hour. So she was in there monitoring them too.
Good. All right. Final thoughts, Justin Pearson.
I'm glad Bristol's over with. And that was kind of deflating, I'm glad we're on Texas. Got a little bit more control in my hands. So I dipped down below 300K, 3,000 IR. So I just got over the hill this last race with David. So hopefully I'll stay there.
It's the thing about NIS is you're going to have weeks where you hate it. You can't even get a finish, and you're going to have weeks where you do well. And that's what makes this a tough series. You're going to have ups and downs. And, yeah, it was a bad week for a lot of us. Okay, my final thoughts. Man, I'm ready to tear this rig apart and rebuild it. It's sagging on the left side. I'm kind of embarrassed that I didn't build it right. But I'm not going to do it till the season's over. I was just asking you guys, when is season over? I think it's early November, early to mid-November. So not too much longer. And I'll take a break from iRacing. I'm going to take my time. I don't intend to rush it, but I'm going to take apart my rig and rebuild it so it's not going to sag. Also realized how dirty it is. I mean, everything in Arizona gets covered in dust, no matter how clean of a person you are. And my rig has just got dirt everywhere. And so I'm going to take the time to also clean everything as I rebuild it. And then I'm going to try to, do my best with the wiring and do even better than I did before. So we'll see how it goes. With that, hey, we'll see you on the track later. Okay. Idle ideas. We have one.
And I just went back and kind of hunted because nothing sparked, my imagination this time. So I came up with that since we talked about 2003.
I don't have any, so we'll go with it.
Sure.
Good show, guys. I'm going to get dinner and hopefully get into some of these races. So,
all right, I'll probably be on the NIS race. So,
all right, see you.
I'll get her edited and then probably jump in the plane.
All right. Hey, we'll see you, David.
See you.